Hi, everybody. It's your podcast, Sista Lisa. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're ready to rock the house today with my guest, the talented Dylan Zangwill from Pennsylvania. And here he is. Welcome, Dylan, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Dylan, I've been looking forward to this interview because it's not very often that I will probably ever meet someone like you that has been on both shows, American Idol and America's Got Talent. And I want to talk a little bit about that experience before we talk about your current music. Does that sound okay?
Yeah. Sounds great.
So tell us, how old were you when you went on to America's Got Talent?
I was 14 years old, and just totally surreal experience at the time for me.
Yeah, you really captured the hearts of the judges and the audience. And with America's Got Talent, tell us what the first song that you performed for the audition.
Yeah, the first song I performed for them was Somebody to Love by Queen. And I was really into Queen at the time, and I had been playing that song for a couple of years, and I was like, this is the song. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, and you did it so well. I that's a hard song to sing. I'm not much of a singer, but I know, anytime you're trying to, capture the same effect that Queen, put out. I mean, you were right up there in your interpretation of the song. So what then happened? You auditioned, you get on stage, and then obviously you moved on to get the chance to perform your second song. What was that like when you had to prepare for the second song for that episode?
Yeah, well, being on those TV shows is definitely like a really interesting experience, and you definitely learn a lot. It's a lot of, back and forth, and everyone's in different time zones. And, the second one where there's a whole band behind me, so much, all right, record this, send it to us. Then our guys are going to record it. They're going to send it to me. I'm going to mix it, send it back to you. Like so many, processes and different steps. But yeah, it was crazy. I got the call like probably a week before I had to go out to LA, and they're like, all right, we're going to do this. You need to send us your recording now. And like, it like all happened super fast, and it was still like getting worked on like the day of, and like it all came together. I got to be on the, be playing at the Dolby Theater with a Hammond B3 on stage. And it was just a crazy experience for me, and just, totally surreal.
Oh, absolutely. And the way that you performed the song House of the Rising Sun for that episode with the organ and the lights and the band, like you said, I mean, were you nervous or, like what was going through your head?
Yeah, well, I will say, like, I don't really get nervous for these types of things. During the first audition, my dad's like, "Are you nervous? Are you okay?" I'm like, I was totally fine. Like, I think my dad was more nervous than I was.
So after that performance, unfortunately, the competition ended for you. However, it didn't stop you. You went on then at the age of 16, I believe, to go on to audition for American Idol. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what was that like for you? Did you feel like, okay, I understand what's going to happen with this audition, or was it totally different?
It was definitely different. When I did America's Got Talent, that was still kind of coming out of COVID. Especially LA was on such a heavy lockdown that they were really strict there. Whereas, American Idol, they're putting you together with, hundreds of contestants, and you're hanging out and meeting people, and, they're not testing you every hour. So it was definitely different in that way. But it's funny because a lot of the shows have overlaps. So I got to work with a lot of the same people, and they're like, "I remember you." They're like, so it's good, nice little reunion.
Yeah. And for American Idol, you performed your original song, Bittersweet Melody. And, it's not very often that you see performers 16 years old, first off, but going in with a original song, and you just nailed it. Tell us what happened when you sang that song.
Well, yeah, after I sang the song, I got a standing ovation from all three judges, and yeah, such a cool experience. So cool to be, talking with Lionel Richie, who is just, legendary. Yeah, I mean, it was just such a fantastic experience. I got my golden ticket up on the wall back there. So
Yeah. All right. I mean, that is a huge accomplishment. And congratulations on that. Unfortunately, with American Idol, and you were eliminated, but you really weren't, because you keep going. And at the age of 18, that you're 18 now, correct?
yes.
And you have accomplished so much in the recording studio and performing on your own. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of your original songs called Like a River. And Dylan, that is probably one of my favorite songs of yours. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write it, and what was the message you were trying to relay in that song?
Yeah, well, I actually started writing Like a River while I was taking a shower, and, the lyrics just started kind of coming to me, so I quickly got out, wrote them down on my phone, and went downstairs and fired up my Hammond organ and just kind of started putting the lyrics to music. That song is the main message of that song is about how, no matter what happens, what's going on in the world, life keeps moving forward like a river.
Yeah, and I saw the video, the official video for The River. And I have to tell you, first off, I encourage everyone to watch that video, because I got goosebumps. The way that you perform that song and the lyrics you chose and the timing of the different historical type scenes throughout the history of the United States and big significant moments. And it just really touches the soul. And, did you have some creative part in that video?
100%. I shot that video all by myself in the basement.
Oh my
And,
gosh. Wow.
yeah, it's all the music videos we've done so far. We've all shot ourselves, and we've lugged upright pianos to the craziest of places to get these shots. But it was about a year ago, I think, that I started filming it and brainstorming what I wanted to do. And, I knew I wanted, something very simple, but, could overlay this footage over top of it. So I just kind of started, messing around with things, got, the backdrop, got the lights set up, just started filming all these videos, and then really spending, hundreds of hours going through this footage. And, got this, I have a whole hard drive of just tons and tons of files. The clips that are in there is not even 1% of all the stuff I downloaded to make that video. But, just really going through and, well, what makes sense for this part of the video? What, makes sense for this line? And, really, I think it's the best video I've ever made.
Oh, I agree. And I even love that video now even more, with you telling that story that you did produce that on your own. And what a future you have. You are so gifted, Dylan. Very blessed. And, I think when I see you on stage as well, you are true to yourself. here you've been on these big, huge national shows at a young age, and, Like a River and a couple other singles were produced by a Grammy award winning producer, John Carter Cash. And we're going to talk about that experience in a moment. But my point is that you stay true to yourself. You're very grounded. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that experience when you recorded in the studio Like a River and a couple other songs with John Carter Cash at the legendary Carter Cash cabin in Nashville. What was that like?
The Cash cabin is amazing. I mean, every time I've been there, it's like just the history and the photos that are on the walls, and everyone, they have a mantle where everyone who's visited the studio has signed, and just like the names on there are like incredible. But it's just totally crazy, and to be on the property, and there's all sorts of like wild animals that are roaming around outside. Like it's crazy. And, they take us around to where they shot like parts of music videos, the covers of Johnny Cash's album, and like they're all on that property. It's just a crazy, crazy experience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy for you. And I know I keep saying that, but it's true. You're a hard worker. You've managed to navigate your music career through huge milestones in a short period of time. I have to ask you, when did you even start performing?
Well, I started playing the piano when I was about 3. It was actually that piano right back there I've had my whole life. But I've been singing before I could talk, and started playing guitar when I was about 8 or 9 years old. Around that time, we actually opened up a brewery here in Philadelphia, and we, got an upright piano, and we put it in, and I used to play for the people who were building the brewery out. And eventually, once we opened, my dad used to put me up there every night. So I used to play shows every night when I was like 9, 10, 11 years old, playing in the bar. And that's really, where I got my start.
Wow. And I had a chance to take a look at the brewery online, and what an establishment your father and mother and your family have built. And give us the name of the brewery and where it's located.
Yeah, the brewery's called Stolen Sun, and it's in Exton.
Nice, in Pennsylvania. So I want to take this time to play snippet number 1, Like a River by Dylan Zangwill. And when we come back, we'll talk more music. Dylan, I love that song. And, the words for this song are tremendous. And I have to ask you, what is your songwriting process like? Do you mentioned that, some lines or concepts come to you just out of nowhere and you have to jot them down? But are there times that you are actually sitting and focusing on your songwriting?
Yeah, well, there's not really any process to it. I mean, there's some things I do where it's more of a typical thing, but most of the time songs just kind of, randomly will come to me, or I'll be driving and I'm like, oh, I got to write this down. I got to pull over and like write this song. But, I do spend a lot of time, here in my studio and, sitting down and just, all right, I got to write, put an hour in, put 2 hours in. Usually I'll start with the melody and the lyrics, or at least the rhythms of the lyrics will kind of come to me and you got to figure out, okay, well, what words make sense with this rhythm for the verse.
Great. And I wanted to touch base with you on, are you in the process now of focusing on a full-time basis, your music career?
Yeah, I am. And going down to Nashville a bunch, and working with some really good people and meeting a lot of really cool people. So, yeah, full time.
Yeah, and you're doing a lot of performing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you have a show coming up, and I wanted to ask you about it. Dylan and the Dead at the Music Fest coming up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Tell us about, what the fans have in store if they're attending that festival.
Yeah, well, I love Bob Dylan. I have pretty much all of his records upstairs. One of my favorite records is Dylan and the Dead, which was a tour that Bob Dylan and the Grateful Dead did together. And about a little over a year ago, I had the idea to put this show together where we, recreated, Bob Dylan and the Grateful Dead. So I have this Dead-themed band behind me, and, I'm kind of doing my Bob Dylan thing with an organ on stage and a piano. And it's an awesome show, and I love being a part of it. I love, recreating it. But yeah, it's a great time. If you like Bob Dylan or you like the Grateful Dead, or even better, if you like both, you're going to love it.
Oh, great. Well, you got to check that out. If you want to check out Dylan's website, Dylan, why don't you go ahead and tell us where they can see that info?
Yeah, you can find it on my website, dylanzangwill.com, or at my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, pretty much anywhere.
Great. Speaking of TikTok, and anyone who's watched this show knows I always say this, I think I'm addicted to TikTok. So Dylan, here we go. I talk about TikTok and what I've watched on your social media, and it's all good. That is for sure. And this is why. Anyone who's listening, please check out his Instagram, because it's almost like a mini concert. The reels that you produce are great. You are at your piano and you'll sing a variety of songs. I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be an original or not. I love seeing those. And, what inspires you to pick the song? Because there's so many different kinds.
Yeah, well, I'll say it's a lot of brainstorming, a lot of lists. Every week I'm printing out like 10 different song lyrics, putting them up on my piano, and like, well, what if I try this one, try it on a different keyboard, because, I got a million keyboards in this room. Yeah, I mean, it's, spend a lot of time doing it and really getting the right take and figuring out what's, going to grab people's attention.
I wanted to just say I love the reel where you're talking to us saying you stayed up all night to work on a song for a contest that you were submitting to, and the song, Dylan, that you wrote, The Way I Am, was incredible. Tell us about that song, and like, where do you find that endurance to keep going in a 24-hour period to deliver on something so great?
Yeah, well, so I'll tell you, I've actually been bartending at the brewery past couple months, so that's been keeping me pretty busy. And the day of the competition, I was kind of working all day and wasn't, it was on my mind to do it, but, I wasn't, fully committing myself to it. So I was working till about 6 o'clock at night and got home and just, I don't know, wasn't really feeling like writing something. And, it kind of was on the back of my mind, but I wasn't, it wasn't like a top priority for me. And of course, inspiration always strikes at the last minute. So about at 8 o'clock at night, I just kind of start writing and, very quickly wrote this song, played it for my parents. They're like, all right, we got to record this now. So then at 11 o'clock at night, I'm getting everything in the studio dialed in, setting all the cameras up, and, did a couple takes. And it's tough when you write a new song because it's not like you have the lyrics memorized or, some of the chords. So like getting it right and getting that good of a take, especially if you're, trying to get the song right 10 times in a row, at 11 o'clock at night, it's tough. So about like 12 in the morning, finished filming it. Everyone went to bed. I stayed up and started mixing and added more parts to it. And yeah, I stayed up the whole night, made this video. And yeah, it's the first time I've ever spent 24 hours awake. And I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, you did a great job. And also on your TikTok reels, I love the one with you and your mom during St. Patrick's Day. It might be at your brewery. She's on stage with you. She's playing the flute and you're singing. And it was such a nice moment. You were singing, an Irish song. And gosh, what a nice mother and son moment. And I'm sure, she was so proud of you, probably every day. I mean, I'm proud of you and I just met you. But
thank you.
I also, the last thing I wanted to mention, anyone who gets a chance to listen or check out your videos, I mean, the videos get thousands and thousands of views. And many of the comments that I read, not only on TikTok, but on YouTube, a lot of people are saying that you remind them of Billy Joel, especially when you're at the piano. And you really do. You've got that gift, that storytelling, and the way you play your piano. I mean, it's hard to believe that you're only 18 years old. Are you getting those kinds of comments when people see you perform? Do they talk to you about, that type of way that you perform, similar to Billy Joel?
Yeah, I do get a lot of Billy Joel, Leon Russell, Elton John. Obviously, like, Billy Joel is incredible. It's so influential. But to be honest, like, I never really listened to much Billy Joel. Only until like recently.
Yeah.
People are like, it's not like Billy Joel. So I'm like, all right, I'll learn a Billy Joel song for the people, make them happy. But yeah, a lot of my inspirations, and the people they tell me I sound like, I really don't get into them until after so many people have told me about them. Like Leon Russell is probably the next person on that list. And like, I never really listened to Leon Russell. And eventually after so many people, like, you gotta play Leon. You're like, Leon Russell. And, eventually, like, all of a sudden it just like clicked. And I'm like, huge Leon Russell fan now.
Great. Let's talk about your single, Better. And I love this song, and here's why. It's just a total different vibe. You're playing your guitar, and it's very upbeat, southern rockish blues. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that song and the vibe you were, going for, and what inspired you to write that song?
Yeah, well, that song goes back to first Bob Dylan concert I went to, and I was in 9th grade, and we got home that night at like 3:30 in the morning, and the next morning, my first period was math class at school, and I was exhausted. I don't even know how I got out of bed, but I was there, and I was taking notes on my paper, and just really thinking about the concert and how much it had inspired me. And these lyrics just started coming to me. So I wrote them down on the side of my notes and went home that night and put the lyrics to music. That's, how I wrote that song. I wrote that song because of Bob Dylan.
Wow. Well, it's great. And, when I see you performing, when I'm watching, the videos, you are having the time of your life. And, the smile on your face, the authentic way that you present yourself is just a joy to watch. And, where do you see yourself in the next, say, 5 years?
Well, my dream is to, go on tour and travel country, travel the world, and, play music. And, it's just so much fun. As you said, like, it looks like I'm having fun. It's because I am, and it's the best job in the world. So, hopefully in 5 years, we'll see you on the road.
Absolutely. And I'm in Cleveland, and if you come out Cleveland way, I'm going to definitely know, because I'm going to look at your website, and I'd love to see you perform live. What projects do you have going on, this year?
Yeah, well, working to get back into the studio and, meeting a lot of producers. And I have some new singles that are going to be coming out soon, which were produced by Adam Weiner, and his band Low Cut Connie plays on the track. So that's really exciting, and those are, super rockin' tunes that I'm really excited to put out there.
Great. Well, let's play snippet number 2, the song Better by Dylan Zangwill. And when we come back, we're going to close out the show.
The drop of a shell. What kind of woman go give me hell? I can't sleep a fortnight on my bread. What kind of woman go and drive me sad? Don't you go run around saying better luck you'll find. I'm trying to tell you, woman, I ain't lying. Don't tell me about the words I used to say. It's getting better, 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 better. Yeah.
Dylan, I love that song, and you just keep bringing it. And, I'm looking forward to, seeing you release more and more songs. And let's talk about your recent EP that you released December 2024, and the name of it is Home, a live solo session. And you recorded that at Elm Street Studio in Philadelphia. And give the listeners a taste of what that EP is all about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had all these songs that I wanted to record, and just at the time, weren't really looking to do any more, full band recordings, and really just kind of wanted to get, and I don't want to call them demos because they aren't, but kind of like stripped back demo versions of the songs just to kind of put out there with hopes of, re-recording them in the future. But yeah, that EP, just went into the studio, a local studio here in Philly, which I absolutely love, and has, it's just a beautiful studio. And, we recorded it, and, it's all me playing all the instruments on the whole EP. And yeah, it's a really cool project that I did, and I'm really happy with how it came out.
Yeah. Well, for those who want to check out your news and latest releases, you can hear Dylan's music on all streaming platforms. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I wish you all the best in the future. And I'd love to have you back on the show to keep us informed on what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And Dylan, like I always say at the end of my podcast, that's a wrap.